Well, welcome back. We have just taken a few minutes here to adjust both the axle and the wheel. And part of the reasoning for doing that and for doing an assembly drawing like this is that it does help us find problems before we go to manufacturing that we can fix inside of cyberspace, or in this case the 3D model, before we go to the expense of making the part. So our last little step we did there in our last video clip was to remove those constraining mates. So I'm just going to pull this back apart. So we now have the wheel and the axle separate. The top plate and the axle supports are still fine, but I do need to redo this mate condition so we have everything lined up properly. So again, I'm going to go into my mate options. I'm going to do a coincident mate with the temporary axis of the axle to the temporary axis of the wheel and the hole inside it, and line those back up. Now my numbers are all correct. The outside of the wheel is 1.5 inches. This portion of the axle is 1.5 inches. There is where my matings are going to lie. So I'm going to take the surface of the shoulder here to the surface of the edge of the wheel, and that places them so I have an equal distance on each side. Lock that down. And now I can go ahead and slide the whole assembly back into position inside the supports. And I did that visually because I do want to make sure everything gets aligned. And I noticed that I need to realign. I took out probably one too many constraints before. So let's go ahead and add that mate back in. So this temporary axis to this temporary axis. Now they're back in alignment there. And I'm ready to place it in to position. And I'm going to do that with a face-to-face mate. Just do the surface face here, and lock those down. And that should keep everything mathematically in alignment. So now my wheel is in the proper location. The wheel is still free to move separate from the axle. Okay, go ahead and complete that process with those few controlling mates.